Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon.
Hello, and welcome to Let's Sip and Talk with Freema on this great Wednesday. It seems like it's been a while, you guys, but we're still at it, as you can see. We have a special guest today, Katrina Gibson. Can't wait to talk to her. She's an activist for child sexual abuse. She's an actress, an author. She does a lot of things, and I can't wait to speak with her today. But remember what I always say, always be kind. You never know what one is going through. It doesn't cost you a thing to compliment somebody. You never know, you might make their day. Remember, it's hump day, y'all. Almost on the weekend, but what I always say too, if you work on the weekend, be thankful you have a job. No need to sulk. Be happy you're employed people. So anywho, we're going to learn about Katrina Gibson today. So without further ado, let's see what Miss Katrina Gibson is about. I can't wait. Hello, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I am doing great, great. So, Miss Katrina Gibson, thank you so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it. So, if you don't mind, share a little about yourself with us.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So my name is Katrina Gibson. Where do I start? I'm a mother of three. And I wear so many hats. I'm a boxer, a nurse. I'm an actress, and I'm also an author. And most importantly, I would say I'm an activist for child sexual abuse.
Okay, okay.
Mhm.
So let's dive in, if you don't mind. I have a lot of questions already just by reading your bio and everything.
Sure.
So let's start with the Enchanted Clock. Like, what inspired you to even, start writing, or where do you get your motivation from to write, those type of books?
Right. So I remember growing up as a child. I remember writing little throwaway poems and little stories here and there. And then I just kind of just went away from it.
Hmm.
I didn't do anything else with it. And here it is years later when COVID first started. And I started working from home because I used to work in a long-term care nursing facility. And I didn't know much about COVID at that time. So I kind of came home. And I mean, I'm sure like a lot of people have, come home also. But I was at home and a close friend of mine said, "Hey, won't you write a book?" And I was like, doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Right.
So I just sat late one evening because I love to write at night. And I just began to write. And the Enchanted Clock, it was inspired by my late grandmother, Rosetta Holiday. She passed away in June of 2019. But that story just reminds me so much of her. And my stories are fiction stories.
Okay.
But I still want to, add those little remnants of my grandmother in there, down to, the way she used to cook and things of that nature. So yeah, I was definitely, she's definitely inspired me to write The Enchanted Clock.
So how long does it normally take you to write your book? Because I know, like you said, it doesn't take long. It looked like you about to say it don't take long at all.
I was about to say it doesn't take long. It's like when I sit down, it just starts flowing.
Oh, wow.
Ideas just come and I just jot them down.
Okay, okay. So do you see yourself continuing on this journey as far as being an author and a writer? Like, because this can just be forever.
Well, yes, you're absolutely correct because recently I did write a short film.
Oh, wow.
And it's about boxing, not about me, but it's about boxing, and we are going to start filming that in July.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and I'm going to be the main character, of course.
So how did you start boxing, or what made that a hobby of yours?
Well, it all started with, it was kind of a weight loss thing.
Okay.
I weighed more than I wanted to. Okay. And years prior to that, when I worked at the hospital, a random guy just approached me. I didn't know him at that time. He approached me. He said, "Hey, I own a boxing gym locally. You want to join?" I was like, "No, I don't want to box." So needless to say, I went, I worked out, and I was a zombie the next day at work. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't go back. But years later, I needed a cell phone charger, and someone said, "Hey, there's a new place downtown in Sumter." And so I was like, "Okay, I'll go by there." It happens for one of the guys that was affiliated with the gym from before, when I gone and did that little
Right.
workout. He was there. He said, "Hey, I train boxers. You want to box?" I was like, "No." But he was like, "Well, you can do it to lose weight." And I was like, "Okay." Girl, next thing I knew, he had me in the boxing ring sparring some girl. I
Oh,
don't know who the chick was. He had me sparring. So I was like, "Okay, this is what I'm doing now. So we good." Yeah, so I later on I went on to compete, and I won a belt, trophy, things like that. So I mean, I've enjoyed it. I've
wow.
enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it.
I
Yeah.
bet it's a lot of fun, and like you said, a great workout.
Yes, it's fun. It's a great workout, but it does teach you discipline. You learn something about yourself that you never knew you had, like that mental toughness.
Right.
You have to have it in order to be able to endure those long runs and all the
Mm,
sparring. I mean, sometimes you might get hit, you might hit somebody else.
yeah.
So it's just a lot, yeah. And then your diet, you really gotta be very disciplined. So it does teach you discipline, I will say.
That's something I would definitely stay away from. I'm nowhere near discipline.
Yes, yeah.
So tell us, okay, so you wrote for, is it called the Sumter? I don't want to mess it up. The
Nope,
newspaper.
you're fine. Yep, yep. The Sumter item. I write articles for the Sumter item and the Manning Times as well. And
Wow.
they are articles based on pedophilia, and child molestation, things of that nature. I do have one article titled "A Victim's Point of View." So what it tells is how a victim feels or may feel, because everyone's story isn't the same.
Right.
So it tells how that person may feel if if they've been a victim of child sexual abuse, because the world, as bad as it sounds, they're so judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
And we're thinking about children, you know what I'm saying? We're thinking
Right.
about children. So we shouldn't be so judgmental. I mean, for anyone, for that matter. But when it comes to the children, we really shouldn't be, trying to judge them. But
Right.
a lot of people do. And part of it is because a lot of the pedophiles are their family members.
Yeah.
So
I
I
hear
want to kind of, yeah. So I definitely want to kind of throw that article in there, a victim's point of view, just so we kind of get an idea of what the victim may be experiencing. And I've gathered that information from people who've been victims of
that. Right.
child sexual.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, questions that I do have about that because,
Mhm.
I know there are like some red flags, being that you do go around, you talk to people about it, you're the voice for it. So there are a few questions I do want to ask you about that. But before we do so, we're going to go to commercial break really, really quickly, and then we'll come back.
Oh, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Buss. I'm family member of the world champion Los Angeles Lakers. I'm a dancer, choreographer. I've traveled around the world and choreographed for daytime television, Days of Our Lives and Passions. I was a Ram cheerleader, a flipper dancer, and now I'm taking that world champion Los Angeles Lakers mentality, and I've created a world champion skincare line called Hito. And Hito is driven from the word hedonism, which is self-love, self-pleasure, self-care. And we want you to understand that we want a relationship with your skin. And we want it to be your other significant other. And take Hito into a new level of how you take care of your skin. So come join me in learning about our amazing brand called Hito.
Thank you so much. That was from Christy Buss. She has a Hito product, very, very great skincare line. Shout out to Miss Christy Buss. Thank you so much. So thank you for waiting for that time frame. So, okay, being an activist for child sexual abuse, I know you hear a lot of, different stories and things. How do you stay, I don't want to say grounded, I don't want to use that word, but how do you stay uplifted when someone's giving you, their story, when the victims are talking to you? Like, how do you stay tough?
Well, let me start by telling you what drives me to be an activist for
Okay.
child sexual abuse. So after I discovered that a few of my family members, you really love and care for your family members, but I've discovered after a certain point that a
Mhm.
few of my family members had been victims of child sexual abuse, and that just didn't sit well with me, and that really gave me a drive to want to look into this issue more. And after reviewing statistics regarding child sexual abuse, I just realized that I needed to be the voice for victims. So when I'm listening to their stories, it makes me feel that I can't break down in front of them. I
Right.
can't break down. I have to be strong so that they realize that it's not their fault. They
Right.
didn't do anything wrong. I want them to feel uplifted. In fact, I even wrote a song recently.
Oh,
It's not out yet. And I do have a daughter who's a rapper. So she and I together collaborated, and we put the song together for victims and survivors of child sexual abuse, as motivation and encouragement.
right.
Sometimes I will say, when I come home, sometimes I have to just sit and just take it all in sometimes,
Yeah.
because it's a lot. It's very undesirable, but someone needs to be the voice for victims, because a lots of victims, being children, they don't even know they're being victimized,
Right.
because Uncle, I'm just using the name Uncle Tom over here, Uncle Jack, they're telling them, oh, we're just playing a game, you're
Right.
special. They're giving them the things that their parents won't provide for them, like
Right.
those name brand clothes, or
Yeah.
the shoes that they can't get from their parents, or the cell phone. They're filling those voids for those children, so they're not even aware that they're really being victimized. So I realized that I need to be the voice for these victims.
Right.
And so that's what motivates me. That's what keeps me going.
Absolutely. So with some of the victims, coming out to you, talking to you, what are some of the red flags or ways that, I don't want to say red flags, but that we can tell that maybe our children are holding back? They don't want to tell us what Uncle Tom did. What are
Yeah.
some things that we can pay attention to as parents that we can
Mhm.
kind of say, okay, you're acting different when you stayed over in Diana's house. What's going on?
Yeah. Well, let me just start by saying, unfortunately, a lot of children never tell about their abuse.
Really?
In fact, 85% of cases of child sexual abuse are never reported.
Wow.
And I understand that, or I feel that partly it's because, parents, we need to make sure that our kids feel safe and comfortable talking to us about anything. I mean, it doesn't matter how, like sometimes we might say, oh, mom, let's, we want to talk about this. Be quiet, go in the room. But it's not that anymore. It never should have been that.
Absolutely.
We as parents, we need, I don't know if you have kids or not, but I'm
I
just
have three.
speaking. Okay.
Yeah.
So you understand, we
Yeah.
as parents, we need to make sure that our kids are able to trust us with
Yeah.
their most intimate thoughts or feelings or whatever it may be. And then that way we build, we build that trust with our children. If a child feels that they can't trust us, they're not going to come to us and tell us
Right.
anything. And even if they're being victims of abuse, they're not going to report it. They're not going to say anything. I mean, ladies, they're even in their 40s and 50s and 60s, they're still dealing with, they've never told
Yeah.
anyone. But for the children who may, some children may exhibit some signs, as far as, let's say they were making good grades in school
Mhm.
and now their grades aren't so good anymore,
Okay.
or vice versa. So see, it's one of those fine lines, it could be vice versa. The child could be making bad grades in school, but because they know something is wrong and they can't say anything about it, now their grades are improving. They want to be the perfect little child at home. They want to start washing the dishes. They
Right.
want to just make themselves feel that there's nothing wrong, everything is normal, and it's
I
okay.
never looked at it that way.
Right? Yeah. And I mean, in 1 in 4 boys, well, 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually assaulted before their 18th birthday.
Mm. Mm.
And I mean, we just have to really, as parents, we just really have to sit and talk with our children.
Right.
And unfortunately, I'll say this again, even talking to your children, sometimes you still don't
Still
know.
won't know.
So I would say, I mean, even down to visiting the doctor's offices, I would say, maybe they need to, and that's something I'm going to look into as well, getting with medical staff, because there's no reason why a medical doctor or a nurse should not be able to, once they do a physical examination,
Right.
they should not be able to not tell if the
Right.
child is being sexually abused. And I'm not putting the blame on them, but there's something that needs to be done extra that can determine if that child is being sexually abused. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, because we don't want them growing up with that. Because, like I said, sometimes it's they just don't tell you. Other signs, if a child stopped wetting the bed and then they for some reason just started, wet in the bed all over again.
Right.
That can be a sign as well. It just, I mean, it just varies from child. I mean,
Child.
each child. Yeah, it just really varies. Yeah.
So, in your experience, and I know you probably, maybe were able to speak to a victim early on, and then, maybe they grew up, it's a couple years later. Does that, and I know it probably does, and I'm 100% certain it does, affect their adult life? Like, can one actually go on without even thinking about that? Is a way to like block it out?
Oftentimes one of the first places that we're sent or whatever, like a victim is sent, is to counseling. But I always say, a lot of counselors, they want to give the child medications.
Right.
Or, and even with extensive counseling and medication, there's still an underlying issue that needs to be resolved. So, and unfortunately, it's on an individualized basis. So sometimes counseling may help depending on the extent of the trauma. Right. For someone who's been being sexually assaulted for years versus someone who's had that one experience, you would think that a person who's been assaulted for years would be, in a worse state than a person that was assaulted one time, but it's not always the case. It's just on an individualized basis. And that's why I've chosen, I decided to be the Voices for Victims, so that we can really hone in on the research and really, try to get to the bottom of these issues, to figure out from child to child, what can we do in the schools? Right. Like I said earlier, what can we do in the medical facilities to find out, maybe to figure out early on what's going on with these children. So I did recently create a flyer, and it just basically breaks down some of the things we just talked about as far as the signs and things like that parents need to be aware of. Each case is different, but I go around on a daily basis hanging flyers like in the laundromats, and I call the schools and get them to, I speak with guidance counselors and hand them my flyers and just try to figure out what it is that we can do in the school. So we're just getting into that. And another thing I look forward to doing is, changing some of the laws regarding pedophilia, because they're not right. They have the sex offender registry it has over 750,000 names listed on that registry. And legislature wants to be able to remove some of the names from the registry. Wow. Based on the fact of recidivism, where they feel that the registered sex offenders don't reoffend. But remember, I did state earlier that 85% of cases are never reported. So who's to say that they're not reoffending?
Absolutely.
So that doesn't resonate well with me. So that's something I'm going to be looking into as well.
Well, definitely kudos to you for even, doing this. We need this. A lot of parents don't know how to go about talking to their children. So just by you answering those questions, like when I asked you that just now, I thought in my head, have I ever just sat down and asked my kids, like, have you ever been touched? Has anybody ever fondled you? I don't know if a normal day, even a normal parent, just actually ask your kid that. You may say, what's wrong with you or what's going on? But do we ask those language just boom, has somebody ever touched you?
Yeah, and lots of times, we're working maybe 1, 2, and 3 jobs even. Yeah. And we may be like adults, going to adult education classes. So it's like, we have our own lives, and then we have these children too. But we have to make time. It's not the parents' fault. It's not the children's fault. It's the fault of the pedophiles and the child molesters. But we still have to, make that time, to speak with our kids and make sure that we seem like trusting people to them. Because if they're not able to confide in us, then the chances of them confiding in strangers, very slim. Very slim.
Right. Yeah. It's a very touchy subject. I didn't mean to stay on it too long, but it's something that definitely needs to
necessary.
Be right. It's necessary. It's necessary.
Very necessary.
So what can we do, to help, to help get it out there? Even if we have to post the flyers, I don't know, on Facebook, I don't know if that'll help, or just actually get them and put them out too. I'm willing, to do that for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. You can go on my Facebook page, Voices for Victims. That's Voices for Victims. You can go on that page, and you can even email me at vfvictims@gmail. And you can email me, and I can, send anyone who's interested. I can send you a flyer. You can print it in your hometown, and post the flyers. I would greatly appreciate that. Because, like I say, I'm doing it in my city, and the cities next to me. And sometimes when I travel out of state, I'll pass them out there as well. But yeah, that would definitely be a big help. If anyone who's interested and would like to, get a flyer sent to them, I would greatly appreciate that. They can do so by emailing me at vfvictims@gmail.com. And they can also message me on Facebook at Voices for Victims. Yeah.
Do you think that's a problem? Excuse me. Do you think that's a problem in the Black community with children expressing their feelings?
I think there's a problem in all communities with children expressing their feelings. I don't think it's race. I don't think it's based on the race of the child, because it's happening to all races. And like I stated earlier, I think it's just based on, if they feel that they can trust their parent, or maybe that pedophile has coaxed the child for so long,
right,
and manipulated them. So, and they're children, so they can't really, they don't feel comfortable verbally stating that to their parent, because they don't know what the parent is going to say. And oftentimes the kids are right, because the parents aren't going to believe them. So we're really dealing with something here.
And then as parents, we have to be mindful on how we speak to our children as well. We understand we're the adult. They know we're the adult, but we still, what's the saying? And I know I always mess up a saying, respect is due to a dog.
Right.
Right. I mean, I understand they're children, but at the end of the day, they're still human. They're still human beings that's going to grow up. We still need to kind of talk to them differently so they'll feel comfortable. They're coming to us. Can't fuss about everything.
Yeah, and that same thing dawned on me later in life. I raised my kids for a good part of their lives, without even asking them.
Yeah.
And once I found out about my family members, that had been sexually abused, that was a question that stuck out to me. That was something that stuck out to me. I said, respect is due to adults. So I started respecting my kids, in a different way. And people may, oh, well, you're the parent. Yeah, I'm the parent, but I want what's best for my children as well.
Exactly.
So yeah, definitely, yes.
Oh, this is a great conversation, Katrina. I'm telling you, a lot of people don't think like that. I'm the parent. I tell you what to do, but you want your kid to be comfortable to come to you with them hard conversations.
Yeah, because if they can't talk to us, guess what? They're going to talk to somebody, and what is that somebody going to tell them?
Yeah.
Who knows? Would they tell them the right thing? Would they tell them the wrong thing?
Yeah.
Who knows? What are their parents telling them? So,
Alan said this is reminding me of that movie, Woman Thou Art Loose. Katrina, if you know that movie and remember it. I don't think I ever watched that movie.
Yeah, I think I do remember the title of it. All the intricate details, I'm not 100% sure about, but I do remember that title. But I will, when I get off here, I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to look that up.
It's not like something I'm watching though, but
anything someone says to me, I like to look it up, just to kind of see, Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Thank you for that. Was that Alex or?
That was Alex.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I never heard of that movie, but it sounds like it's a good movie, especially for them to bring it up during this topic. So
and I will also, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And I would also like to say, if you guys hadn't checked the registry in your neighborhood or in your state, please do so. I mean, just go do a Google search, the National Sex Offender Registry, put your address in or or name that you may be suspecting. And definitely find out if there are pedophiles, living in your neighborhood. Because of course, this may be someone that you're speaking to every day and not even aware that they're pedophile or they're child molester. Yeah. So yeah, please definitely.
A lot of people don't think about. They don't think, okay. I know a lot of home buyers before they move in neighborhoods, they check the schools out and things, but that's probably not on their list to check the registry. So
yeah, and another thing too, I'm glad you mentioned schools. A lot of times, depending on what tier a registered sex offender is, like they have like tier 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Yeah, never knew that.
They tell them that they're not able to reside within 1,000 feet of home of schools and playgrounds. But I found and discovered that they're allowed to go to the schools, like to basketball games.
Are you serious?
Minors are present, right? And so my thing is, how is that possible? So that's something else I'm looking into as well. Definitely, yes. I'm looking at that because as parents understand, we're sending our kids to concession stands, eating food.
Don't give me some
right. What is it that's going to let us know that there are pedophiles in the area? Why are the pedophiles even allowed in places where minors are if they've been convicted of that crime? So these are things that they just don't resonate well with me at all. So yeah, you got to excuse me because I get kind of
you're passionate about it.
I get keyed up about it. I'm gonna tell you, but whenever we talk about the number of cases that aren't reported, I just feel my heart goes out to the victims of child sexual abuse. I mean, of abuse, period. But, we're just discussing the topic of child sexual abuse. So my heart does go out, and I do feel some kind of way about that.
Right. My heart goes out too. And I again, kudos to you, shout out to you, Katrina, for even, coming up with this, doing this, because again, we need it. It needs to be discussed. We need someone we can ask these type of questions to and get feedback from. Just one more time, what is your Facebook and your Gmail for anyone that may want to reach out to you?
Okay, yeah. So my Facebook is Voices for Victims, and you can email me at vfvictims@gmail. And my organization, we're currently accepting donations for anyone who would like to donate, to support the movement. Because, like I said, I'm gonna do what I got to do for the victims. If they want to support the movement, they can do so at my Cash App at $KBoxing123, or they can do so at $VFVictims. So totally, yeah.
Okay. Now, is there anything else that we met? Because I know we stayed on that, and I apologize. But is there anything else that you would like to discuss that we did not touch on today?
That's a good question. Now, so we did talk about the boxing, which I'm actively training now. Because, like I said, I'm going to start recording the movie, and we're going to start filming in July.
How do your kids feel about you boxing?
How does who feel?
Your kids.
Oh my God, they love it, and I actually teach them how to box. So yeah, they actually love it. And with boys, boys are different. They don't want to feel like their mom is teaching them how to fight.
Right,
so
right.
I'm like, my son Dre. I'm like Dre, because he's a basketball player in college.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 19. He's like 6'5". He's a point guard, and he I'll be like, Dre, come here. Let me show you this. He like, But guess what? The next week, he like 1, 2, 3. I'm like, oh, okay, I see you. Okay. So I think it's really cool. I mean, he even messaged me and his sisters the other day, and because what happened, my daughter, I sell a lot of my books like at random places sometimes too. I go to like flea markets sometimes, to sell my books. I mean, I want my books all over. So, for Mother's Day, my daughter, she surprised me. They showed up at the flea market with T-shirts on, with my picture, with some boxing gloves, with one of my slogans, because I make like little slogans or whatever for T-shirts. And so that was a very good surprise. And he messaged us saying, hey, we got to represent. So so he had a T-shirt on. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah.
I'm glad you have a great support system.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
But if they do want to find those, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, if they do want to find those articles, they can do a Google search. I don't want to say the exact URL, but they can do a Google search and search the Sumter item, SUMTER item. And there are 4 articles currently that I've written, published, and they're on there regarding pedophilia, child molestation, things of that nature. So yeah, definitely if you can grab those articles and share them.
Right.
Share them so that we can, as a part of increasing awareness as well. Yeah, I would definitely appreciate that. Yeah,
I most definitely will do that. I'm gonna email you so you can send me some flyers. Because I work in a doctor's office, so I come in contact with community. And actually, on Saturday we're having a health fair, so that'll be great for me to have it out there too.
Yeah, definitely. Oh my God, yes, I would love that. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
Teamwork made the dream work.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Katrina Gibson, I don't want to hold you too long because, like we were saying earlier, everybody's busy. Everybody got a lot to do, but this was definitely needed.
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Time out to come on, talk to us, and shed some light on the situation that need to be talked about.
You're very welcome. Yeah, check on your loved ones, everyone. Make sure that they're okay. Make sure that there's nothing going on with them. It's best, to the best of your ability. It's not your fault, if they don't tell you, but I will say we can do our parts and and ask those questions. And also I would like to say to pedophiles and child molesters, if you are a pedophile or a child molester, please seek help. There's no one judging you. We just want you to seek help so that you don't continue to abuse innocent children. Please just seek help.
That was powerful. The reason I say that, you know, not just the message, but the point of you even actually speaking to them. You know, we'll speak to the victims all day long. You know, we'll say what we have to say, but you're the first person I actually heard say into the pedophiles, you know, to the ones out here that's doing it. You're the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah, thank you. And I do feel it's very necessary because they're the ones that are committing the crimes.
Yeah.
If we can get a message to them directly so they can maybe commit themselves to a mental facility and get, you know, medication, even though, you know, statistically, you know, how much of medication will really help, but they can get down to that underlying cause of the problem. You know, being a nurse for 12 years, my whole thing is, yes, there's medication, but there's an underlying issue that we need to get to the bottom of. So if they can do that, then we're well on our way of maybe even stopping child sexual abuse. So that's my goal. That's my ultimate goal, is to stop child sexual abuse. But I will start by increasing it in any way that I can. Yeah.
Do you go around actually like to the schools or different communities and speak on the topic, ask questions and everything?
Yeah, so that's definitely something I'm getting into as well. You know, with passing the flyers out to the counselors at the school, that's definitely something I always say, hey, and if you guys have a public speaking event, or anyone, you know, that maybe listen to the broadcast this evening, if there's a public speaking event that you would like me to be a part of, that I can, you know, shed some light on the situation, definitely feel free to reach out to me. They can do so at vfvictims@gmail.com. And, you know, just send me a message, or on my Facebook page at Voices for Victims.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'll definitely keep in touch. We had a few, you know, guests on, and it'll be great if we can just all come together and have this big community event.
Right. Yes.
Whatever. We can call it a state event. I don't know, but, you know, it'll be awesome. But that might be something I need to put in the works for maybe not this year, but next year, because that's just how big I want it to be.
Right. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely keep me posted with that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely will. Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, Miss Katrina Gibson, again, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. Like I always say with this show, if it only reaches one person, if it only benefits one person, if it only resonates to one person, I feel like I did my job. You know, so it one day at a time, one person at a time, a change is definitely going to come.
Yeah, and I would also like to say, if they go to my YouTube channel,
at
Katrina Gibson, there's videos that I posted up there regarding pedophilia, child molestation. There's statistics on there. If you guys can just go like, subscribe, share that page, share that page, and let everyone around the world see those videos, so that we know that, you know, there's an issue going on that we need to do something about as a community. You know, we really need to hone in and just figure out what it is that we can do.
Right.
You know, as voices for victims. I'm not the only voice for victims. You're a voice for victims. You know, everyone that's listening to this broadcast, we're all voices for victims. So we can definitely do our part, you know.
Absolutely. And this is not a topic that we hear a lot about, you know. So yeah, we definitely need to put this out there. Y'all make sure y'all go subscribe, share the channel. We need the knowledge. We definitely need the knowledge.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna go subscribe as soon as I get off of here. Look at some videos, share them, and everything. We gotta do this. I'm with you. I have your back.
Thank you.
You're
I appreciate that.
It's
very important.
It's very important. Much needed. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, Katrina, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and do my part. I'm gonna email you, subscribe, and everything, so I get those flyers for the health fair we have on Saturday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As we always say on Let's Sip and Talk with Frema, peace and love.